Alex, why don't you tell us a little bit about this event that's coming up, and then we're going to get into kind of your career and how you got where you are.
Of course. Well, this Saturday night, the December 8th, it's the first time that pro boxing's actually been on North Broad since I was in school here. Once they shut down the Blue Horizon down the street, boxing on Broad really hasn't existed. So, and North Philly fighting is. It has a rich history of, some great fighting. A lot of good boxing has actually taken place here. So to have it back on North Broad, and then to have it back at Temple, it's such a beautiful thing. And then the facility, Pearson McGonigle. Wow, they pumped so much money into making it such a state-of-the-art venue. It really is going to be an action-packed card. So far, it looks like there's 10 bouts going on. The main event is Bryant Jennings. He's the number 5 ranked heavyweight, I believe, in the IBF, in the world, actually. He's going to be defending his USBA title, as well as Eric Hunter, who's one of the he's a premier Philadelphia fighter. He'll be fighting an undefeated guy, Jerry Belmontes, out of New Mexico. I could be wrong about that. I know Belmontes is 17-0. It's the card itself is being broadcast by NBC Sportsnet, the main event, the co-main event, and I'm sure one undercard bout. But so far, like I said, there's 10 bouts, and there's so much Philly talent on there. It really is it really is the way to bring boxing back to North Broad Street.
That's exciting stuff.
Talk about 10-0. You're catching there yourself. 4-0.
Okay.
All right. You're taking on this guy, Joshua Arocho.
Yes, sir.
He's got 10 fights, so he's got more experience than you. Mm-hmm. However, only 2 wins. What are your thoughts heading into this matchup?
Well, you never actually look into the guy's record. As a matter of fact, the only thing that I'm concerned with is the fact that he actually won his last fight by knockout. So as far as I'm concerned, he's undefeated. They say that you're only as good as your last performance, and he won. So I have all the respect in the world for him coming in, accepting the fight, and being willing to fight. I'm not overlooking him. I'm not looking past it. As far as I'm concerned, he's got the upper hand on me. He's got the 10 fights. He's coming off a knockout win. My last fight was a decision. That we won. So. I've been training hard, been treating this like it's my championship fight. Every fight you treat like a championship fight, and that way you don't ever overlook. You don't find yourself thinking that you're a little bit better than you actually are. And for me, being sort of new to the sport, because I actually did pick up boxing after I was done here. After I graduated from college, that's when I actually started. So, I'm kind of a novice in the sport to a degree. I had a lot of catching up to do, and there's, it's a gradual learning process. And with each fight, I feel like I'm learning and getting better and better. And this is the toughest test that we've taken to date.
That sounds exciting. Alex, we're going to get into kind of, like you just said, you just started boxing after college. We're going to get into a little bit of your history, kind of where you came from. Need to take a quick break first, though, on...
Man, need a DJ? Let W.H.I.P do it for you. Live DJs at the hottest club each and every night on W.H.I.P.
All righty, back in town. How we doing, everyone?
We're hanging in there.
Beautiful, beautiful. As Johnny knows, as our listeners know, we have Macho, Alex Barbosa in the house, local boxer, potential boxing legend down the road. That's what I'm going to say, Alex.
I'm with it.
So, so you teased a little bit before the break. You said that you didn't even start boxing until you were done here at Temple. Tell us a little bit about that process, kind of how you got into boxing and how you got so good so quickly, to be blatantly honest.
Well, thanks. It was actually by accident. My younger brother, who was a professional, he was turning pro as well, right around the time that I was graduating. So I actually got to learn the business of boxing first. Actually just being like his handler between his management and the promoters and basically his trainers, just anyone, because I was, like I said, for lack of a better term, I was his handler. I'd be his go-between. Everybody would basically check in with me. My younger brother was a highly tutored amateur. He used to run with the likes of Danny Garcia, as well as Raymond Serrano, and a lot of the highly tutored Philadelphia fighters at the time. So, learning the I guess for lack of a better term, spending all that time in a gym, like I just kind of started playing around at first with little kids. Like I'd train real little kids, and they would just listen to me. And then I kind of got into it just to keep myself in some type of reasonable shape. And then towards, I want to say towards the end of my younger brother's run, I decided it was something that I'd like to do. I like the challenge, and I like the fact that nobody can really control how hard I'm going. Like boxing is a lot like life in the aspect that, like, you're gonna get what you put in. You're gonna get out what you put in. And if you're willing to go out there and sacrifice and do the road work, and you're willing to do the sparring, and you're willing to take the lumps, I mean, I tell people all the time that I spent a good 2 years pretty much getting beat up by anybody with a live pulse, But that was all necessary as a part of my development. It's almost like, the first time you walk on campus and you look around, and one of the first thing they told me was, you see the T flag? If it's not there, don't go around. And as silly as it sounds, and for the record, this place is absolutely amazing now. Like, coming back here, this place is awesome. I kind of think I want to come back for grad school here.
Well, that's what I did. I'm a grad student here. I was here 8 years ago for undergrad, and I graduated 8 years ago, and now I'm back.
So you've seen. So I mean,
it's wild. It's a completely different place.
Night and day.
Night and day. You're absolutely right. It's a whole different world here.
So I mean, once I actually started training, and then my father came on board. My father was he was a professional fighter as well as a trainer for about 20 years, and then my grandfather, he too was a pro. So I guess it's kind of in the bloodline.
Yeah, clearly.
But they never really wanted me to actually box. Like, my parents were. My mom's always been, hey. She's always told me to be happy with whatever it is that I want to do. My father kind of seen law school
sure.
for me, you know what I mean? He wanted me to graduate. And so he wasn't too happy with the idea, but, boxing's his passion, so he wanted to help me, and he's seen how dedicated I was to it and how hard I was, trying to go. So I was able to fight in the amateur ranks, and then I turned pro last October.
So a little under a year as a pro. Or a little over a year.
Yeah,
Excuse
a little
me.
over a
Gee,
year.
look at what I'm doing there, Johnny. I can't even know what day it is, what month it is. Well, that's beautiful. That's beautiful, Alex. And you've had this is going to be your 5th professional fight.
Yeah.
And you're 4-0. Mm-hmm. That's exciting stuff. Were they all by decision? Have you had any knockouts? What happened in your first 4 fights?
My first fight was a knockout, a TKO in the second round.
Second round?
Yeah, in the second round. And the other 3 fights have all been decision. My weight class, there's a lot of volume, a lot of punching, a lot of action, and that's really what you're gonna get. You're gonna get people punching each other.
Well, it's exciting boxing, the heavyweight divisions, at least from my perspective as a amateur just not a real deal boxing aficionado. It's just kind of come a slugfest, and it's a few punches here, a few punches there, and then they're in the corner kind of cradling up against each other, and I think that you see a lot more fun boxing at the lighter weight classes.
Well, a lot of people actually do. There has been a shift, and if you watch HBO and you're ever able to actually see the boxing that is put on pay-per-view, or the big events, for the most part, they're in the welterweight, lighter division. I mean, they're in the lighter. I want to say like middleweights, but to be fair, I mean, Bryant Jennings, main event. He's a big time. I believe Freddie Roach actually tabbed him as the next big American heavyweight.
We need one.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely do. I mean, I personally believe that the fact that the heavyweight division has pretty much migrated over to Eastern Europe, especially with Klitschko's pretty much dominating the division over there, and keeping the belts over there, that the American public has kind of just lost interest in it. Yeah, that and to be fair, the American heavyweight can now go play football or go do something else,
Absolutely.
Invest there. It's not like in the 60s and the 70s, in the heyday of boxing, where there was big money in prize fighting. Now only you have to make it to a certain level in order to actually reap the rewards. And a lot of the big, I'd say a lot of heavyweight hopefuls, great athletes, they look at it and they say it's high risk, low reward, especially at the beginning,
Sure.
and they probably stray away from that and try to go do something else.
Well, I mean, it's even changed since I was young, since Tyson and Holyfield and Lennox Lewis, and we used to have a real heavyweight. We used to have superstars in the heavyweight boxing division, and people that people would pay to watch. And now, the Klitschko's just beat up on everyone except themselves. I'm sure if the Klitschkos were willing to fight each other, that would be something people would watch. But otherwise, there just aren't that many, pay-per-view worthy heavyweight events these days.
Yeah, I totally agree with you on that.
And you have the emergence of mixed martial arts in the UFC.
Yep, that's a big thing as well.
It all comes into play here. Now, have you not had any interest in mixed martial arts? You just wanted to stick with boxing?
Well, I actually work at LA Boxing in Cherry Hill. I'm a boxing consultant. Well, boxing instructor. I'm a fitness instructor basically. I teach boxing classes. I teach I want to say just introductory boxing classes. I mean, we're able to gauge our workouts depending on the members and who's actually there and so on and so forth. But I mean, that's an MMA place also, and MMA has actually, it has taken a huge foothold, especially in the fighting game. Just, I want to say at first, I think at first it was because it was something different. Mm-hmm. And now they're actually cultivating and creating their superstars, like for instance John Jones and Anderson Silva and GSP. They have a lot of just I'd say pay-per-view worthy fighters, people that I'd pay to watch them fight, right. And win, lose or draw. And in boxing, it's gotten to the point where you've got your Mayweather, you got your Pacquiao, and you've got like Miguel Cotto and 3 or 4. But for the most part, everyone else is trying to, we're just trying to fight and claw. And a lot of, I think having good promotion, like good promoters, good matchmakers, is a big part of cultivating a career, but also cultivating and navigating one. But also in getting the fans back. Like, that's the one thing that I can definitely say about this card on this Saturday, is that every fight is competitive. There's not one of there's no A side, B side. There's no the high favorites here. Like I said, look, you can look at the guys' records if you want to, but every single fight on this card is a competitive fight. Even the guys whose records aren't sparkling. Well, if you look at if you actually do some homework on them, you see that they fought all tough guys. Like, I know offhand the guy that I'm fighting, he's fought almost everyone who's been undefeated. So it's not like he's taken a cakewalk approach behind it. He's just had tough fights. So this, he's not a walk in the park, so to speak. And having good matchmaking as well as good promoting. Like Brittany Rogers, she's a Temple alumni, and she's also associated with the show. I believe she's Bam Promotions, as well as Russell Peltz. I'd say he's probably the biggest Philadelphia promoter in boxing right now. He too is a Temple alum. Okay. So the Temple connections are there.
That's what it is.
Bringing it back to campus, and it's what do they say? Temple Owls, we're everywhere, right? Right. You can't escape us. You're gonna see it or meet an owl somewhere. And but they've put together, a really good and entertaining, action-packed card, and that's a huge part, because trying to bring boxing back to North Broad Street. I'm pretty sure that's going to be good for Philadelphia boxing, especially it can't be at the Blue Horizon. That's fine. Let's bring it on campus. The next best thing, literally, is right here on campus. This is still North Broad Street. Yeah. There's a lot of history here. And to have it back here, it's a really good feeling. I'm pumped to just be fighting back here. I partied at McGonigle. I walked all this stuff, So it's like I said in any interviews, like I feel like I became a man here, and to be able to come back here and put that hard work back into play here where I learned, it's such a blessing. So excited for it.
And we're going to get into your temple history, kind of what you did here after this quick break.
Yo, it's your boy T-Pain right here.
W.H.I.P.
Wow, this is good.
Online at whipradiotU.com and on your mobile device with iHeartRadio.